Hi guys, this is Mr. Tan, and today we're looking at hospitality operations. And we are focusing on accommodation services, but now we're moving on to the food and beverage or the restaurant within the accommodation services. So we're looking at today conceptual frameworks of food production and the kitchen structure. So today's aims of the session is to identify roles within the kitchen, understand the food production system, understand workflow processes, and identify equipment requirements. So the kitchen structure, the brigade system. So the various structures. We're going to have a look at a few. In the brigade system, we've got the executive chef, chef de cuisine, and their overall responsibility in terms of overall responsibility of the kitchen, of the menu development, responsible for guest satisfaction, and ensures that the food quality and consistency. And the sous chef again is the second in command, and he runs the day-to-day operations. In terms of the chef de partie, they are responsible for a given section, like fish. Commis works in a given section, reporting to the chef de partie. And the kitchen porter does the washing up, cleaning, and there are different roles explained here. So saucier, responsible for all sauces and salted items. Traditionally the top position among chefs de partie. You have the fish chef, all of the fish dishes. You have the roast chef, all roasted and braised meats. The grill chef, maybe combined with the roast chef, responsible for all grilled foods. The fry chef, all fried items. The vegetable chef, all the vegetable soups, pastas, and starches. The roundsman, a chef who may work in any area and fill in wherever needed. The larder chef, also the pantry chef, all cold salads, appetizers, and so on and so forth. Then you've got the butcher, butchering and fabricating meat and poultry. And the pastry chef, baked goods, pastries, and sweets. So you've got a lot of different roles depending upon the size of the food and beverage section and the kitchen area. So here we can see now a organizational structure in terms of the chef patron Thomas Keller and all the people who work underneath him. You've got the executive pastry chef, and also the executive sous chef, and the executive sous chef is Kevin Knell, and then underneath these two people you have the chef de partie, pastry, and so on and so forth. So you have all these different lines of people who may report, and then under those people you may have other people working for them to actually complete. So you can see it's well organized. It's well organized in terms of different people having different functions to complete different things, and all of these people working together to complete the finished product in terms of the whole food experience. So this is the organizational structure of the French laundry kitchen, chart by Marcia Wisher. So again, a big restaurant which shows the different organizational structure and the amount of different people that is required to give the right quality of foods, working in different sections, all combining together to make the finished product for the end consumer. So management relationships, what key factors are there to successful relationships between the food and beverage manager and the head chef? Food production system. What do we mean by food production system? So production, this is the process used to transform tangible and intangible inputs into the goods and services. Process comprises of a number of sequential and logical steps. the system, control measures designed in the process, environmental controls, managerial controls, and this food production system kind of like all leads into um, and has an effect also on FAM in terms of what we looked at previously in terms of the room, the meeting, the product, the atmosphere, and the management control. So the management control systems will be linked to all of these, which will be linked to the waiters and waitresses serving the end consumer, the customer. Food production areas. Now, the food production is customer orientated. Food service operations must be able to provide food to a required standard in a sufficient quantity and also in a timely manner, because otherwise you're not going to meet customers' expectations. Layout and design of production areas has a direct effect on the capacity, efficiency, and the quality of food service operations. And also, if we looked at the previous slides, you need to take into consideration the legal considerations in terms of quality, in terms of contamination, and so on and so forth, and all the legislation that that the production and makeup of the food must adhere to when you're actually going through the whole process. There is a website here, how to design your commercial kitchen. So it's a good website here. So if you get a chance, have a look at this. So production area objectives. Let's have a look at these. So these include to meet the customer requirements, meet the customer's needs, accommodate the type of menu, accommodate methods of production. What methods of production do you need? You have, depending upon the level, depending upon the chef and the detail that's required, you might need special equipment as well. Meet capacity levels for preparation, meet turnover levels during service, and in line with the restaurant concept and service style. Food production areas, operators challenge, meets financial constraints in terms of the budget, and creating a pleasant and safe environment, whilst maximizing income. Now, the steps in the layout or planning can be seen here in terms of 5 different steps, and so you should consider or define what the functional areas are. Step 2 is to design, specific workstations. Step 3 is to integrate the workstations into functional areas. Step 4 is to kind of modify the functional areas. Step 5, make final layout decisions. Kitchen layout. The planning process should identify separate work areas. What are the main ones in a standard kitchen? What do you think? What are the main standard workstations in a standard kitchen? So if we look at the overview of the food management process, we can see it starts with the menu planning, and then the procurement of the foods and goods, and then receiving the foods and ingredients, storing the food and ingredients, issuing for production the foods required, serving the foods, and the service of the food as well to the end consumer, the customer. And within the production area, you have the preparation, cooking, and holding of the foods, and all this needs to be done in the most efficient and effective way to the highest quality and standards, and also meeting health and safety regulations, and ensuring that there's no cross contamination, and therefore making sure that you comply with the legislation as well as meeting standards. So we have the workflow. The workstations should be separated to minimize cross-contamination, and so obviously meeting various health and safety legislation, contamination issues in terms of meats, and possible safety concerns as well. So again, meeting legislation, and which is extremely important for the business as well. Movement within kitchens is therefore essential during the processing of menu items, as staff move items and equipment. So here now let's look at a restaurant complex with all 4 basic layout types. So to our left in the blue, we have the fixed positions layout, service restaurant with tables and chairs. And then in the middle in the yellow, we kind of like have a cell layout buffet style with tables, and the starters in terms of the buffet, the main course buffet, and then the dessert buffet. So you've got three different sections. And then on the right hand side, on the light green, you have like the service lines, and then in the purple you have the functional layout kitchen. And in the kitchen, obviously, you're going to have one area for the preparation, the oven, grill, vegetable preparation, freezer, and the cool room. So these must be separated. And you see how the vegetable preparation and the grill is separate to the preparation probably used for meats and so on and so forth to avoid cross contamination. And then you have the oven to one side as well. So again, different kind of like basic layout types for different types of styles of food, if it's a buffet, service line, or fixed position service restaurant. Relationship diagram for kitchen work centers. Again, it's going to be quite dynamic. Dynamic is in terms of the dry store leading to the hob and vegetable preparation, leading to the meat, and the freezer area, and the meat preparation kind of like leading to vegetable, the hobs, the ovens, the wash up area, the freezer area, and the walk-in refrigerator. So we can see the relationship diagram for the kitchen work centers. It's quite dynamic. Workflow. An efficient design should minimize the amount of movement in the kitchen, minimize the amount of backtracking, toing and froing, and maximize the use of available space, and maximize the use of equipment, with the minimum amount of time and effort. And this careful planning is absolutely important, because when the kitchen is in full flow, and you have all different types of people moving, and all different types of people doing different functions within the kitchen to make up one small part of the entire meal, then you need this organized workflow where everything is minimalistic and most efficient and effective in terms of people's movements of the food, where the food goes, and then additional foods being put on, and so on and so forth. So all this needs to be carefully planned in the most efficient and effective way. Linear workflow. What do we mean by linear? Raw materials pass in a direct line from receiving through to service. And why is linear workflow suitable? It maximizes efficiency, and it maximizes the hygiene efficiency as well. So it's less opportunity for cross contamination, for different things and different people to be mixed with this, going back and forward. So in a linear flow, you move from one process to the next. Linear workflow. If we were to draw a linear workflow for a standard kitchen, what would you include in the following? In terms of the initial food preparation area, deliveries entrance, final food preparation area, final cooking area, dishwashing area, serving area, final preparation of cold dishes, walk-in chilled frozen storage, staff toilets, staff changing rooms, restaurant access. So if you were to take all these different elements and you were to draw a linear workflow, what would you put first, second, third, fourth, fifth, sixth, seventh and eighth? So think about this. So what would be the first, second, third, and so on and so forth, and why would you do it in that order? So here is a recommended linear flow pattern. At the top you've got the food service layout and design. And you have the initial preparation area, leading to the final preparation area, leading to the cooking area, and on the left you have the dishwashing. You have the servicing area in the middle, and on the right you have the final preparation of cold meats and salads. This is one recommended linear flow pattern by Jones' 1994. This website here, if you look on this, it will show you an example of a kitchen layout in 3D. Workflow challenges. What are the possible issues in planning a linear workflow? These include, available space limitations and multiple function work centers. Again, if you've got a multiple functional work center, well, there can be problems there with cross-contamination, different, processes going on within that workstation, which could lead to health and safety standards. It could lead to cross-contamination, and the amount of people, moving around in that workspace at any given time could create a lot of stress for people if they need that space in that area. But regardless of limitations, careful consideration must be made towards hygiene and the prevention of, contamination. Very, very important, and it's so easy to do if not thought about. Equipment. Aspects to consider when choosing equipment. Their functionality, their need, their capacity. What is their total cost? Also their design and appearance, the size and dimensions, safety, sanitation, flexibility, and various other factors. So the equipment you need to consider various aspects when looking at and reviewing the equipment. Preparation equipment. These include, food mixers, cutters, mixers, food cutters, choppers, food processors, slicers, and a variety of other, preparation equipment. Cooking equipment may include ovens, ranges, total and skilters, grills and griddles, deep fryers, steamers, and so on and so forth. The service equipment may include, hot food serving trolleys, bread warmers, infrared heating warmers, bain-maries, heated or refrigerated pass-throughs, and even coffee brewing machines equipment, and various others as well. Technology. These, here are some examples of modern technology in terms of, the ration combination, oven, self-cooking center, and the benefits of, induction cooking. So something to think about, self-cooking center, oven self-cooking center. What are the advantages and disadvantages of this equipment? And induction cooking, what are the advantages and disadvantages of this type of equipment? So in summary, we've looked at identifying the roles within the kitchen, understand the food production system, understand the workflow processes, and identify equipment requirements. And all these things need to be taken into consideration. And you do need a great deal of experience in this area to have worked in the kitchen area to know the pitfalls and to understand possible workflows. And if you have different experience of different workflows, then that's even better. But what you also need to take into consideration is the number of guests you'll be serving, the different types of dishes, and the whole process it takes. And the process must be developed within, again, the most efficient and effective way to stop doubling up on your time in terms of doing things and moving back and forth when perhaps you can take a linear process view or perspective. So again, very important within the kitchen area how the food is prepared to the quality and to the standards. So thank you today from Mr. Tan.